Hello, are we on? Welcome to the next video. I was just going to do another video about me training, and let's be honest, the last few have been like that. Get on Zwift.
Oh! I'm going bouldering for a couple hours.
We move on to Monday now, so I'm going to do a little gentle 5k around here, I think. Oh, there you go. I'm going to be on the turbo later. And here we are. I'll see you at the climbing wall tomorrow. And here we are. Well, we're jumping into Wednesday now. Back on the turbo. Let's keep the pistons pumping. Back to the climbing wall tomorrow. And here we are back at the bouldering wall. Undecided what to do tomorrow. And already we've come back round to Friday afternoon. Run, climb, boulder, cycle, drift, run, work. Blah, 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 blah. No need to do another one at the moment, is there? Because that's all that's happening really. So I thought I'd do a different thing, which has been on my list to do for a while. Segment chasing. It's a divisive subject. I've asked loads of people on this just to get a broad spectrum of opinions. And it really does upset a few. Not quite sure why, but you know, each to their own and all that. Don't worry, I'm not making any rules. You can do what you like at the end of the day. I'm just summarising really, just the things that you really should do just to make sense of doing segments. So number one is don't make them 30 yards long. They're a bit pointless, aren't they? If you're going to be doing a segment and you're going to be trying to do well in a segment, make it worthwhile. Anyone can sprint for 10 seconds as hard as they can. Granted, there's a build-up for that to get your pace beforehand, but it's just pointless, isn't it? Following on from that, if you're going to do a sprint segment, make it 30 seconds minimum, I guess. Make it so you've really got to try and you're all out. And especially at the end, you know when you've got nothing left at the end of a sprint and you need a good recovery time. That I feel that you're going to get the most benefit from. Next one, I feel this is probably the single most important one, not just for cyclists, but for society in general. Do not do segments through towns. Anywhere where there's junctions, anywhere where there's traffic lights, roundabouts, pedestrian crossings, any kind of hazard. That just makes sense really. And I see lots of segments that go through towns and I don't get it. You're putting yourself in danger. You're putting other people in danger. You're giving yourself the opportunity, should you wish, to go through a red light, which you should never do. Never. And all that's going to do is put yourself in a dangerous situation and make other people, pedestrians and road users, just more sick of cyclists that do this kind of thing. It shouldn't happen. So let's try and make sure it doesn't. Obviously, one part of going through towns and villages is people cross roads, they don't look, you know, we all see it, people walk dogs, they jump out in front of you. It's just making sure it's safe. The next little point I'd like to bring up would be, don't necessarily try and be the KOM or the QOM, or COM or QOM, whichever suits you. Just try and better yourself. Great, if you get to the top of the leaderboard, that's just fantastic. It means you're working really well, you're quick, you're trying hard. The next one for me would be just a bit more sensible really. Try and make it relatively local, but not on your doorstep. It means that it's going to give you a chance to actually warm up. You need at least 5-10 minutes, at least 5 or 10 minutes, especially on a bike, to get your muscles warm, to get your cardio up to a level. You want to be at a good heart rate before you start a segment. You do not want to be doing it cold at all, because the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to get injured. And nobody wants to get injured. For the sake of a segment, you just don't. Moreover, with the doing one that's not very local but close enough, make sure you're familiar with it. I think that's quite important. Every nook and cranny on our road network has its foibles. There's cracks in the road, there's potholes, there's areas where it could be wet, slippy, leaves, hedge clippings, anything. Next one is, again, it's very similar to the previous one. It's just be sensible where it is. You don't particularly want to be doing it on single track roads, which are narrow. because the chance of meeting something coming your way or getting in somebody's way, yeah, you just don't want to take that risk, do you? One of the more important ones that I would like to raise is make it difficult. It's utterly pointless creating a segment if it's going to be easy. So I have a couple quite locally. There's one, saying that, there's one that starts about a K away from the house, so I'm never warm by the time I get to there, but sometimes I'll do a loop. It's quite a long segment. It's 15-20 minutes, and it's a lot of hills. It's a mix of terrain. It's all good roads, but it's long. So you get to pace yourself, and that for me is the perfect way to create and go for a segment, because there's no sprinting involved apart from the last part. And on this one in particular, the last part is a 200-yard, 17% climb up a hill. So by then you are fully goosed and you've got nothing left, and you've got to give it all for the last 30 seconds or so. It's hard. Another really important one, and it only falls really behind the traffic lights and junctions one for me, is don't be afraid to abandon it. If you're doing a full out sprint and something happens, a car gets too close, or you're not feeling it, or I don't know, if you do happen to be going through one where there's a junction to go across, left, right, or there's a traffic light, if you are doing them that way, don't sweat it. Just stop, be sensible, don't put yourself in danger, don't put others in danger. And finally, I think the most important one is have fun and be safe. You look after yourself, you look after everyone, and just enjoy the progressional improvement that you will see. If you're going to go and choose a segment or create a segment that's a decent length, go out and create a 10-minute segment of varied terrain if you can, but somewhere you know is going to be repeatable. I mean, you could even become the local legend on it if you do it often enough. Was it amount of times in 90 days? Just get out, but don't do it every day. It's a bit pointless. Do a bit of training, go back and hit it if you're feeling good. Now, one thing that always upsets people when asking about segments is weather. Now, it's not cheating in my view, it is to some. During the original lockdown, I created my own segment, and I chose it specifically because it was A, during lockdown, so the roads were quiet, and B, the wind was absolutely howling, about 20-mile-an-hour winds, which was absolutely fantastic. It was about a mile away from the house where the start was, and it was dual carriageway, left at a roundabout, dual carriageway to another roundabout, and I absolutely hoofed it. Obviously, I didn't create the segment to be top of it because somebody else is going to have cycled that route at some point. Before I finish, I'll put another shout out for the hoodies. I've got my first happy customers already, including my wife. They're £30 plus delivery. I'm just working out how much postage is at the moment, so I'll let you know. Can do local delivery. You can collect from a house, that's fine. So I think that's it for now. Let me know your experiences, if you've got any KOMs or QOMs that you fancy sharing with us. Experiences either way, with good on bad segments, or with traffic and people or other cyclists. As I say, this one's been a little bit different. It's been more cycle related for a change. I'm trying to get more of them. Again, there's more hill climb stuff to come. There's a bit more variation coming with this, and I will be publishing the full route within the next couple of weeks, because as I've mentioned in the past, and those of you that are new might not have seen this, I'm inviting people to join me on a day-to-day basis next year for 1 to however many days of the challenge that I'm doing. Some of that will be purely to help, to be a part of it, to raise money. It's all going in the same pot at the end of the day. This is all going towards the charity. That's why this channel's here in the first place. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that, and I will see you on the next one. Bye now.